Hey everybody, C Note here. Welcome to the C Note Audio Extravaganza. This is your host, Mr. Christian Rivera, and I'm excited to be back in this thing. I had a big weekend with Comic-Con last weekend, and you can find all those photos on Futureboy Media on Instagram and futureboy.media, where the official quote-unquote photos are. And I still have to edit a video, so that'll be coming soon as well. If you follow it on Facebook and all those things, Futureboy Media on all the platforms. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about falling in love with your ideas or being too romantic about a process, because things change. Things are always evolving. Processes are changing. People are changing. Social landscapes are changing. The way we live life, the way we approach things, the way we talk about things, everything's changing bit by bit. And you have to be versatile when it comes to, well, really anything, but particularly when it comes to creative endeavors. I think it's super important to be versatile and not fall in love with their ideas, especially if you're working in a corporate environment or working for clients that are kind of stubborn, I guess. If they're too stubborn and difficult to work with, you shouldn't have those clients. Let's put that out there first. But also, if you are dealing with situations where you have to go through a hierarchy, or there's multiple people making changes, or there's simply a business goal, particularly for young designers, I find that they can get really attached to a look and feel of something, and when someone comes and tears it apart, they see it as a personal attack, that their art is being torn apart, and that's not true. You're really lending your art skills, not necessarily creating art. Art is completely subjective, where you just make something and leave it up to someone's interpretation. Whereas when you're designing something for a client or a corporation or whatever the case may be, you're often serving a goal, a communication goal. You're trying to sell something. You're trying to sell an idea or a product, and you need to communicate that clearly. You could do that in a clever way, and when I say clearly, I don't mean putting something. Sorry, there's a cop behind me. I want to make sure he's not following me. When you're doing something interesting or clever, you want to make sure that it's still understandable and still sells the product correctly. That's the difference. You fall in love with an idea, you end up trying to push that idea throughout the process, and it ends up diluting the end goal. So really, you find like a balance, and that really kind of comes with experience. You push out the artistic ideas early on, and then you have to kind of rein it in and figure out what the ideal scenario is from there. Really balance the pragmatic versus the artistic. And, with time you'll get there, but it starts with being willing to do that. You have to be willing to accept feedback and accept that someone might not like what you're doing. But understand also that when someone gives you feedback, that there has to be context behind it. There has to be some sort of specific context, I guess I just said that, for why they're changing something. Not just changing it because they don't like the color or they don't like the shape. It's often best to find out why they want to change that. Is it feeling too aggressive? Is it feeling too soft? Is it too loud in terms of the colors? Is it too busy? So I would use terms like that as opposed to talking about colors and shapes and text. I would say, things like, how does it feel? Because ultimately when someone walks up to it and sees the flyer or sees the billboard or the ad on Facebook, they're going to initially respond to how it feels. That's just how people are. So think about things that way. Don't get romantic when it comes to your work, because it's going to change. Things change all the time, especially when you're dealing with clients in multiple arenas of feedback. You just got to be prepared to adjust. you're going to be dealing with a lot of difficult life situations in your life if you haven't already, and even some little ones, breakups, job changes, title changes. Maybe someone gets a job that you want and you didn't get it. Maybe someone gets a better health plan and you can't because you have some kind of weird thing that should be covered but it isn't. Or I don't know, maybe maybe there's bigger things. Maybe your mom passed away. Maybe you've got to deal with finding out you've got a disease or something like that. And those big things are difficult to deal with and adjust to. And even the little things can sometimes feel like a life or death thing. I often stress when kids are crying or they're upset about something, often that feeling is very similar to an adult being upset about something completely serious, because it's the same feeling. To them, they think that's the worst feeling in the world, and that's why they're upset. So the level of being upset doesn't change too much. I would hope there's a difference between not having the toy you want and losing your mother, but I don't think the child knows the difference. So it's interesting to think about it that way. And in that sense, I'm trying to lead to like a positive spin here because it sounds morose, but really what I'm trying to lead to is that when something bad happens, that you can find a way to adjust to it. Meaning, something serious, you're going to have to likely adjust the rest of your life to feel that way, to be used to that life. And then something petty, you might not want to dedicate the amount of mental and emotional energy to that thing, because it's not actually worth that time. So you have to allow yourself the agility to adjust to the idea that there was typically or usually there's a positive spin to most things. Something as simple as losing a girlfriend or something, just breaking up, not losing her to death, but just breaking up or something. You could reframe your mind to think of it as like, okay, well, we had a great 2 years, let's try something else. Or you can spend the rest of your life pining for how those 2 years felt, or pining for that person, and essentially ruining your focus and putting all of that negative energy into that one thing and letting that negative energy rule you. That's not a good way to be. You can reframe your mind, and it takes time and practice, but there's always a positive side to it. You have to really just consciously make the effort to twist it on its head and think about the positive aspect. If my mom passed away tomorrow, I will be crushed, but likely in a few days after that, I'll be able to think of it as like, I had 31 fantastic years with my mom, and she was the greatest person that I've ever known. And I don't want to say it that way because she's still alive and I love her, and I'll probably call her later because I'm talking about this. But with serious things like that, it's good to have that agile mindset of being able to put a positive spin on it and be able to move forward, because we have to keep moving forward. Time doesn't change. Things that we can't control don't change. And the same thing for petty little things too. Why put so much emotional negative energy and effort into something that doesn't essentially matter? Either find a way to move on or reframe it into something positive and try to find the good outlook, the thing that allows you to be productive and move forward. I know different mindsets don't allow you to do that so easily, and it does take time and effort. I still struggle all the time because of my depression and issues, but if I give myself enough time, I do eventually come out the other side in a positive way. So just be persistent with yourself, because you'll find a way. Just know yourself and know what needs to be adjusted. I think I've talked about self-awareness quite a bit on this podcast so far, but I want to. It's probably a reoccurring thing I want to discuss, because that's ultimately going to let you make adjustments when you need to. You're going to be able to reframe your mind or reframe your situation based on knowing who you are and how you handle situations. If you don't fit into a certain mold, don't allow yourself to be in that mold. You have to know what works for you and how to make that how to make a situation better, because you know who you are. You know what you can do. You know what you're capable of. You know what people are expecting of you. You know what will allow you to get to the next thing. You know your level of persistence. You know your level of tolerance for something. You know how much you can handle. You know what situations make you positive and which ones make you negative. You know what types of people you can tolerate. You know what types of jobs you want. Ultimately, knowing yourself will allow you to put yourself in the situations that make you the most happy, the most productive, the most lovable person. Those things, those pieces of self-awareness allow you to really thrive in ways that just blindly going through life will not allow you to do. You could find out that you're a very persistent person, and that'll allow you to push through difficult things. Or if you find out that you're not really good at that, then you might have to find more tactical ways around things, or tactical ways to work with people. If you're an introvert, you might not be able to approach business the same way that an outward, extroverted salesperson might. You might not be more comfortable in front of a camera. You might want to do audio podcasts like I'm doing, which feels more natural and more comfortable for me. I like doing this. You might find out that, dealing with certain clients might not work for you. Dealing with certain jobs might not work for you. And being self-aware will allow you to see that in the interview process or early on. That will allow your internals, your brain, to see the signs sooner, and it'll become gut instinct to know what's good for you and what isn't. You have to be able to trust yourself. So take time to self-reflect and be aware of who you are and what you want in life, and be real about it. Be honest. That is a big thing. I think it's easy for us to convince ourselves that what we're feeling is not actually true, or is a temporary feeling, or a notion predicated on something else. Sometimes it is, but you have to be honest about it. You have to be real. You have to be genuine. Even if it's a fucked up thought, even if it's real messed up, you have to work through it and figure out what that means. Don't try to mask it for the purposes of being or fitting into a box that you think you should belong into. You should allow yourself the room to adjust yourself to the way you want your life to be. If you try to fit into this mold that someone else wants you to be in, whether it's your parents, your sisters, your spouse, your cousins, or teachers, or bosses, then you're going to fit into a framework that they want you to fit into, and that might not necessarily work for you. You won't be your best self. You won't be your most genuine self, and you won't be able to live to your potential. And really, that's what it is: being self-aware and to allow yourself to live to your potential, to live by the means that you want to live. Be real about that. Be honest with yourself, and keep questioning yourself and keep asking questions. Just get better. So to wrap this thing up, I want to encourage you to do something that allows you to get something out of your own head, so that you can kind of be aware of your own thoughts, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and determine where you want to go next. If you're dealing with something difficult, write that down and then kind of work through, like, what are the negative aspects, what are the positive aspects, what will help you move forward. And I think that's one thing that you should really, really consider at the end of all of it, is what can help you continue to move forward. If you're feeling stuck, stale, stagnant, then you have to move something. You have to get it out of the way. Otherwise, you're just going to stay there and be miserable forever. And you can't willingly allow yourself to be miserable when there are already situations already trying to make you feel miserable. You can't continue to allow yourself to make it worse. Because ultimately, you're the one that can control your life. You can control the decisions you make. You can control what you think and feel. You can control how you approach a situation, how honest you are about the situation, and sometimes even end up controlling how people respond to that. I shouldn't say that, because you can't really control people, but you can have them really see what you're actually feeling and appropriately respond to what that is. Because if they don't know and you're stuck in your own head, then they're only going to react to what they know and what they see. And then it's going to make you further upset. If you want something to happen, you don't say anything about it, it's not going to happen. It's pretty simple. And it's amazing how a lot of people, including myself, get stuck in the middle of that. They get stuck in this hazy middle ground of thinking, but if I said this, it's going to hurt so much. Doesn't matter. Just say it and be willing to deal with the consequences. If it's your reality, if it's how you think and feel, you have to get it out there. You'll find that most people in most situations are far more understanding than you think they are. And if they aren't, then maybe that's the catalyst for you to escape that situation. If you're not able to be honest and be real about who you are to the people that you're surrounded by, then you need to surround yourself with different people. That's the blunt, most direct part of it. It doesn't need to be an outward thing to other people, though, either. It's about being emotionally honest with yourself. So if you can just put it down on paper, put it in a poem or a song or a drawing, something where you can just express complete honesty. Maybe it's talking into a podcast, which is what I do. That helps me feel better. Or I just talk to people at work, or I talk to my wife, or somebody, or I call my mom. Something where you can sort of get out there what's in your brain and allow you to get new information, new feedback, so that you can move forward and try new things. There's only so much we can do being stuck in our own head. You repeat processes over and over again. You repeat conversations. You start to go down a rabbit hole and you make assumptions about what someone might say or what they might think or what the outcome of a situation might be. You honestly don't know until you present it to somebody. You have no idea. You might know someone's personality, but you're still making an assumption based on that personality. So, at the end of the day, you have to get it in front of them. I've been talking from like a personal standpoint, but it's more so you can apply that professionally too. If you're stuck on a design or a write-up or any part of your process and you're not sure where to go, get feedback, ask someone, and you can preface it with whatever you need to preface it with. Let them know that this isn't finished yet. I would like your opinion on this. Be specific, and let them know what you need. Let people know what you need so that you can get it.
If you've been dying to start that podcast about doves, or about your favorite jacket, or about a long-lost love, or a murder mystery about a cat who murdered everybody, you can start it now on Spotify for podcasters. I've been on Anchor for a long time, and now it is officially Spotify for podcasters, and it has been a platform that has been growing for forever. And I love it, and I still use it to this day, and it has hosted this podcast for 500 plus episodes now. So I highly recommend it. It is free to use. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. I'm literally on my bed recording on my, the phone is on the bed, and I'm just talking, and it's not that complicated. And then you can distribute your podcast on Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. So video podcasts are available too if you want to show your pretty face and have people see you. You can do all that too. So just do it. It's totally free. No catch. Give it a try. Spotify for podcasters. Let's go.
So thanks for listening to this Thursday edition of the C-Note Audio Extravaganza. I hope you learned something about being a little bit more agile and being honest with yourself. That's my purpose. I just want to share with you as much information as I can. I'll try in the future to be a little bit more pragmatic when it comes to design and when it comes to social media and things like that, but I really like talking from a psychological perspective. I like to give someone something to think about and discuss. And if you have any topics you would like to talk about or share, any thoughts on being agile or being honest with yourself, or you have any rad stories that you can put into a call-in, I would love to hear that, and I'll put it on the next episode. So, with that, again, I went to Comic-Con last weekend, so if you can go to check out Future Boy Media on Instagram, on all social channels except for Snapchat. I don't have a Snapchat for it yet. And then my personal channels are at Rival My Design, so you can see me and all my stuff there. And go to HiMyNameIsChristian.com if you would like to sign up for my newsletter, which I need to send out more often. There's a lot of things I need to do, but I work a full-time job, and it's a little bit difficult, but it happens. You find ways to get things done, and continue to talk to yourself, ask questions, question yourself, make sure you're being malleable and agile to particular situations. Things are always changing, so you have to be willing to change with it, and get your honest words out of your head. Don't be stuck in a situation that you're not happy with, or don't be stucky. Don't be stucky. Don't be stucky. Just don't be stucky. Stop being stucky.